And there's a lot of misconceptions about what vocal rest actually is. In fact, a lot of people think vocal rest means whispering, like, hi guys, I can't talk right now, I'm on vocal rest. That's not vocal rest, guys. True vocal rest is not talking. Complete silence. Hey you guys, it's Kristal Cherelle from Indie Artist School. Welcome to the Singer's Arsenal. Today we're going to talk about how to get your voice back after you've lost it. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I'm not talking about you being out of practice and trying to get that old thing back, like you're just trying to find your voice again. I'm actually talking about those moments when you wake up in the middle of the night or early in the morning and you realize you have a little bit of an itchy throat and you're coughing, you can feel your voice is going away, or you're talking and the next thing you know, there's parts of your voice that are just not coming through the way they normally do, or you're singing and you realize that you have to kind of strain a little bit at places where you normally wouldn't. If that's what you're experiencing right now, then you're at the right episode. I know that I've done a few episodes prior about preventative methods, like how to stop yourself from losing your voice in the first place, positive vocal habits, how to protect your voice in the winter. If you want to look at those, you can also check out my channel and look at the links on my YouTube page to those videos. But let's just go out on a limb right now and assume that you are already singing, you've already done the damage, okay? And you are just trying to figure out what you can do right now to get your voice back. Trust me, I understand. If you've ever lost your voice and you're a vocalist or you really care about your voice, it can be absolutely devastating. It makes you feel like something is completely wrong, and sometimes it can feel like it's going to take forever for you to get your voice back. So let's talk about it. The first thing that you need to do in order to get your voice back after you've lost it is identify the reason why you lost it in the first place. There's a little bit of a difference here between like losing your voice all the time versus, you know, having those moments every now and then where you lose your voice. If that happens to you, you might wonder, what's so different about right now than any other time, okay? So there are some things that can cause it, okay? There are 3 reasons you might be losing your voice. First is abuse. That means you are doing something that is causing irritation, inflammation to your throat and making you lose your voice. Those things can be things like, you know, smoking or partaking in alcohol or something like that, that just causes a little bit of irritation or a lot of it, okay? But basically there's something that you're doing explicitly, you're inviting a substance or an irritant into your body that is causing your voice to go. So for some people that could be eating acidic foods a lot or spicy foods and then developing acid reflux. But either way, it's that there is a trigger. The second reason that you might be losing your voice is because you're overusing it, okay? So this one is, I gotta say, probably one of the most common reasons that people lose their voice, especially students of ours, you know, or people who are performing. People are really serious about singing. There comes this level of excitement, and sometimes we forget that we're freaking human, okay? And when you forget that you're human, you overuse your voice and you ignore all the clues and cues that your body is telling you that, hey, I need a break. You're thinking, hey, I got ambitions, I've got goals, I've got this gig, I've got this studio session, and I'm writing this song. And you know how it is. Sometimes we have our ups and downs. There's moments as an artist where you might struggle to even think of anything. Maybe it's hard to get a gig at some time. So whenever you hit that ground running and things are really, really moving for you, it can be very tempting to want to force yourself to keep up with the demand of the opportunities that are coming your way. But I challenge you as a vocalist, okay, to slow down and listen to your body when your body is telling you, hey, this is too much, okay? You're doing too much. And if you don't know if you're doing too much, here are some signs that you're doing too much. If you notice while you are singing a regular song and there's a note in there that, you know, you never think about, but all of a sudden, I'm horrible with analogies, but I'm gonna try, okay? It's like you're like pulling something through sludge, okay? Like if it feels like you have to put all of your effort in to get these simple notes out, and it's like you're straining to get the notes out, then chances are your voice is overworked, it's tired. Another sign that you're overworking your voice, overusing your voice, is if the runs that you usually hit with ease start getting a little sloppy, okay? You start slurring between the notes, and normally you hit each of the notes in a vocal run easily. If you find yourself getting a little bit more pitchy and it takes so much more focus just to stay on pitch, chances are your voice could just be tired, okay? Overworking it can be so tempting, whether that means that you're practicing a lot because you got a gig coming up and maybe you're overworking yourself in that way, or maybe you're just super inspired and you're singing a lot more than you usually do. I want to say this as well, that overusing your voice is relative per person. I can't sit here and tell you if you sing every day that you're overusing your voice. It really depends on what your normal is. So if you're starting out without singing hardly ever, and then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go get vocal coaching, okay, which is a great first step, okay? You know, students come and they're like, okay, yeah, this is my goal, I wanna practice every single day. I always tell them, well, okay, that sounds great, but let's take baby steps. And the reason I say this is for two reasons. One, sometimes it's really hard to have a complete 180 overnight, right? We're talking about changing habits and long-term bad habits and just expecting everything to just go away magically. And a lot of times things don't work like that. Transitions, transformations don't happen that way. It usually happens through several incremental steps that create lasting change. But the other reason, the big reason, and the reason I'm bringing it up now is that it's too much for your voice. Like point blank, period. Like your voice is just now getting used to singing even once a week in your coaching session. So you tack that on to practicing every single day when you normally didn't sing but maybe 2 times a month. You know, it could be a lot on your voice. And another thing that can really cause you to be easily overusing your voice or make your voice feel fatigued without that much effort is if you don't actually warm up your voice first. If you just go hard in the paint just immediately when you're cold, your voice is going to be a whole lot more likely to get tired a lot quicker, and then next thing you know, you lost your voice because you've overused it, overworked it. Basically, you did too much. But the good news is this is not a long-term thing. This is something that you can completely turn around, and that's why we're here today, okay? Now, the third reason why you might be losing your voice is because you're sick or you have allergies. And that, hey, we're human. The only thing you can do about that is try your best to manage it, take medication, minimize your exposure to irritants outside, and things of that nature. But just know that, hey, it happens to the best of us. But just knowing that in and of itself can help you navigate. Maybe if it's wintertime or cold season or allergy season, you can be preventative in advance. But again, remember, this is not a preventative episode. This is a, oh my gosh, what do I need to do right now episode. So let's get into the second way that you can get your voice back after you've lost it. Don't forget to sign up for our 6-month one-on-one vocal coaching and mentorship program by going to indieartistschool.com. You're going to get one-on-one vocal coaching. You're going to get mentorship check-ins so that we can see how you're progressing each week, set weekly goals, talk about your challenges and your victories from every week, as well as get custom vocal exercises to completely transform your voice and make sure you're at the utmost vocal health and see what you're actually able to do with your voice more than you've ever done before. If that sounds like something of interest to you, go to indieartistschool.com and enroll in a free consultation right now. Okay, number 2, the second thing you need to do is rest your voice. And if I had to put this in true order of importance, I would put vocal rest as number 1 because it's the most important thing, because no matter what the reason is for why your voice is gone, you gotta rest your voice and give your voice time to heal. And this is one of those things that I think a lot of singers hear but don't take seriously and think that because of their years of experience or lack thereof, either way, they think that somehow they don't need it. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what vocal rest actually is. In fact, a lot of people think vocal rest means whispering, like, hi guys, I can't talk right now, I'm on vocal rest. That's not vocal rest, guys. True vocal rest is not talking. Complete silence. And if you're anything like I am, I'm an extrovert. I don't know, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but either way, that can be difficult for some of us, okay? To actually stop talking or stop singing. Either way you look at it, you just gotta stop using those vocal cords. And a lot of people think that singing is the only thing you should stop doing on vocal rest, but your voice is always being used when you talk. You're using your vocal cords when you're speaking, and you might not think that they're pitched, but when you talk, you're actually definitely using multiple pitches. You're using chest voice. All of the mechanisms that you use to sing are being used when you talk. So if you're gonna go on vocal rest, you better go all in, okay? And as difficult as that may be, there are some things that you can do to help make vocal rest a little bit easier for you. Some of it is about planning ahead. Like if you have appointments or phone calls or things to make like that demand you to speak, you can maybe reschedule those or find a way to be able to do them via email, or you might be able to text or something like that instead of having a whole long 2-hour phone call. Whatever it is, these are ways for you to circumnavigate that. And of course, if you have things like gigs or studio sessions, you gotta reschedule those, okay? If you can help it, you gotta give yourself that time to heal, okay? Because at the end of the day, long-term vocal health matters so much more than the short-term opportunity. And I know it can be hard to see that sometimes, but if you keep ignoring your body, it's gonna be even harder for you to recover in the long run, and then you're gonna end up missing out on so much more, okay? So I hope that has sunk in for you, okay? All right, and the third thing that you can do to get your voice back after you've lost it is to treat the inflammation, okay? So when your throat is irritated, your body naturally gets inflamed. It doesn't matter, like if you were to sprain your ankle, what happens? Swollen ankles. Your body's like, okay, must protect the area that has been traumatized, if you will. Okay, so the same is true with your voice. For some reason, I think a lot of us think our voice is this other thing and not an actual physical part of our body. Like your voice box and your vocal cords are like some other entity somewhere else, but it's a part of your body. So if your body is injured, you need to give it time to heal, and you need to do what you can to reduce the inflammation and give it a rest, okay? So here are some things that you can do to help reduce inflammation. Obviously, we've already talked about vocal rest. What better way to calm things down than to leave things alone, okay? The other thing that you can do is you can invite more warm, soothing things to your throat. For example, warm lemon ginger tea. I know a lot of people have heard of that one, with a little bit of honey thrown in just to add a little something, soothe the throat. You can definitely get some throat coat tea by Traditional Medicinals. I'm not sponsored by them, but just saying, it's a great tea. It has slippery elm bark in it, as well as licorice root and a few other really great ingredients that really help soothe your throat. And honestly, you can feel the difference the minute you take a sip, okay? Another thing that you can do is get throat lozenges, but I want to warn you, get the ones that actually treat your throat but don't numb it, okay? Numbing the throat is not the same as actually soothing the throat. For example, Fisherman's Friends Extreme throat lozenges are amazing, okay? Love those. I think they really work. And they do not make you feel like that you're completely healed. And the reason why I think that's important is because it stops you from singing anyway when you shouldn't be. Because that's the quickest way to have vocal injury. So it's good to know where you're at, okay? Because you'll know in a few steps later when we get there that it's important for you to know what your limitations are so that you can know how far you are from being 100% and actually know what span of your vocal range is fully accessible right now, and also help you gauge when you are 100% again, okay? So it's really good to be careful of that, be mindful of that, because sometimes, you might take a cough drop. Those are not really necessarily made for you to rehabilitate your throat. They're really to help you suppress your coughing, which can be helpful as well, but that's a whole different thing. So yeah, That's one other thing that you could do to help reduce the inflammation, okay? Another thing that you could do to reduce inflammation is to take a steamy shower and breathe in that good steam. You could put a little eucalyptus in there. You could use a very sparing amount of tea tree oil and keep your eyes closed, because it certainly can irritate your eyes. But it's really great for loosening things up if you have excess mucus, okay? Because sometimes, depending on your cause, a lot of times with inflammation comes mucus. Mucus is there to protect your throat, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes it can get excessive and make things a little bit more difficult for you. So those are some of your options there. All right, so let's talk about some more ways that you can get that voice back on track, okay? The fourth thing that you can do is to treat your voice according to the cause. So what I mean by that is you can treat your voice according to the reason why your voice is gone in the first place, because it does matter. For example, if the reason you lost your voice is because you've been smoking or drinking alcohol or having excessive amounts of caffeine and it's been drying everything up, you need to treat that by limiting that substance, of course, or cutting it out completely, and also supplementing with something that is completely opposite. So for example, if you're really dehydrated, drink water. I know that sounds so cliche, but you'd be surprised how many times students think that the only way to repair their voice is through vocal exercises and things like that, forgetting that their whole body is their instrument. So if you're dehydrated or you're fatigued, you're not getting sleep, whatever the reason, you can do all the exercises you want, but your voice is just not going to be ready to come back. So you got to do what you need to do on the ground level first. You don't have to be a soldier and just thug it out. Like, there's no reason to do that. Go ahead and take the medicine you need, take the allergy medicine you need, whatever you can to get it under control so that you can focus on your vocal recovery. Because nothing's harder than trying to recover your voice when you've got a million other things going on in your body at the same time that your body's trying to fight. Because it's kind of, well, it just contradicts your progress. Another thing that you can do is make sure that you are aware and in tune with your body. So let's talk about this fifth step, which is really important: rehabilitating your voice. So we just talked about, treating the cause, treating the inflammation. We talked about vocal rest, and we talked about identifying why you lost your voice in the first place. And last but not least is rehabilitating your voice from where it was to where you want it to be. So this is going to vary depending on where you are in your recovery, okay? But the first thing you want to do is check in with yourself and see what your voice is able to do by using minimal effort, okay? So we're going to start by something really simple, just humming from a low note to a high note back down to another low note. So an example of that would be so you go from low to high and back to low. Now, one of the things you want to watch out for is to see if there's any spots in that hum where your voice is cutting out completely, or any spots in your voice when you're doing that where it feels a little bit harder to get the note when it normally wouldn't. Now, I don't challenge you to do this to see how high you can go or how low you can go. This is really just about you seeing if your normal, comfortable vocal range is still normal and comfortable for you right now, okay? So if it isn't, so say you do the and your voice cuts out in a certain spot, or you notice that you're straining a bit in a certain spot when you normally wouldn't, that's a sign that your voice is not 100% yet. Don't worry. All that means is you need to take more time, more vocal rest, and to continue the steps of these 5 steps that we just talked about. It does not mean for you to try to push through and force that or make it happen. Because truth be told, I can tell you, and it's happened before, you can probably get that note a couple times if you really push hard. Absolutely, definitely. But one thing that will happen if you try to push yourself too fast, too soon, is that you're going to find that you lost your voice again, and that you keep going through this cycle of losing your voice, gaining it back, losing your voice, gaining it back. You get the picture, right? So if you want your voice to come back and to stay back for a while, make sure that you really listen to your voice and wait until you're 100%. Now, there are some other things that you can do. Say that you have a gig or something coming up and you really need to get back as soon as possible, and you don't really have as much leeway about not doing it. Well, in that case, it's good for you to still do what I just told you. Figure out where your voice is weak and where your voice is strong, and curate your set list or your vocal regimen and all of that according to the notes that are strong right now, and cut out everything that is not. That might mean changing the vocal arrangement and not going for that high note at the end of the song that you normally would do. Or it might mean you're not going to go ahead and sing that vocal run in the normal way that you normally would, because there's a note in there that's not 100%. But all that takes a whole lot of knowledge. You have to know your voice. There's no, I think I got it, and then just going out on stage and trying it. I say there's none of that, but a lot of singers do that, okay? And you definitely don't want to test something out when it's a high stakes moment, okay? So test it out on your own and do it very low impact. Try only once. Trust it if it's not there. Don't keep trying, and then navigate accordingly. So definitely don't try to push through or force anything to happen. Next thing you know, if you keep doing the up and down and you got all the notes, then you are welcome to try your vocal regimen again at its normal speed, normal range and everything, and just keeping in tune with your voice. Keep in tune with your body. How does it feel to do your vocal exercises? Are there any vocal exercises that seem to be a little bit more challenging right now? If your throat is scratchy or itchy while you're doing any of the exercises, you need to stop, drink water, and move forward and do something else rather than retry it. It just means your voice is not quite ready to do it yet. Now, if it's just a little bit more tiring than usual, it's just because you're in the process of rehabilitating yourself. So you just kind of got to take it slowly, okay? But it doesn't mean that you're out forever. So just remember, this isn't forever. It's temporary, and you've got the control. You can make a change right now. So remember, first thing, identify the cause, the reason why you lost your voice in the first place. Second, rest your voice. Third, treat the inflammation. 4, treat the reason why your voice is lost. And then 5, rehabilitate your voice slowly but surely, and keep in tune with your body as you're doing so to avoid vocal injury. So right now, I don't know where you're at or how you're feeling right now. I want to know in the comments which of these 5 steps you've taken so far, which of these 5 steps you've always taken or always skipped or didn't fully understand, and how long it's taken you to get your voice back and where you're at now. I can't wait to hear about your rehabilitation stories. Well, you guys, until next time, happy singing.